Good afternoon, Aaron. How are you?
I'm really good, Genevieve. How doing? How you doing? Thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Absolutely my pleasure. It's been a long day for both of us, but you know what? It's worth it to spend the time with you.
Well, I really feel it's very nice. Really nice. I'm really honored to be here, and I'm really grateful for you being stepping up and doing a show on my on show TV media. It's pretty great.
I am incredibly excited about it. I could barely sleep last night thinking about it. So let's start. Let's introduce you and tell people who you are and why you founded Stroke TV Media.
Okay, my name is Aaron Avila. I am CEO and founder of Stroke TV Media, and I started out on my own brain injury or stroke I had 10 years ago. And when I first joined Facebook and began to look for some type of sport, I really wasn't finding anything that was based on the value of me being able to move my arm or move my leg or speak right. And I was totally unintelligible before. So the groups that I was finding on Facebook, really, I could, when I looked at myself and how I was, I didn't measure up to what they wanted me to be about, what they deemed
Hmm.
as valuable. And now I began Stroke TV based on that. I wanted a place for people to be able to be valuable just for them being alive, not because they can move their affected arm or leg or whatever.
Yeah, what I love about what you do, Aaron, is it is a celebration of life.
It, it is.
There's a reason you're here, right?
You know,
And
the video.
you are taking the bull by the horns. That's my analogy since I'm here in Longhorn country in Austin.
Yes.
But you are making such a difference for so many survivors and their families that follow you.
You know, it's really, I'm a spiritual man. When I had my stroke, I had a brain aneurysm at first. And then 2 weeks later, when I was in a coma, I had a massive stroke. But somewhere around that time, I had no idea when. But I had a near death experience. And that really was a game changer. And there's that saying, I found my purpose in that storm. Well, I found my purpose. It was to help stroke survivors around the world. That's what I do today.
So you're involved in other area other than Stroke TV Media. What's the name of your show and how can folks find you?
Yeah, that would be if you go into YouTube, Facebook, or whatever, and use my hashtag stroke TV,
Okay.
Google, whatever, you will come up with pages of my content. That's what I do. But I host two podcasts or two shows a week, not podcasts, because I use video. But two shows a week called Stroke of Genius Show. And I do one on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Stroke TV Media YouTube channel. And it's called Stroke of Genius Show Survivor Experience. And then I do another one called Stroke of Genius Show, and that's executive experience. That means mainstream. It's not designed or pointed at stroke survivors. It's really designed to be like you, where you're an entrepreneur or an executive, a CEO of your own company, and I interview those people.
Now, what got you into that business?
Well, that's a great question because it gives me a chance to really tell you why I'm the way I am. Because when I first had my stroke, I would lay up paralyzed bed. I became depressed, suicidal, what you see now or what you hear now is not what it used to be. I used to be very dark, very depressed, and lay in bed and just what could I sit there and think of how I was going to end my life because I felt my life was over. And then I met someone, his name is global business celebrity Jeffrey Hazelwood. And he started saying that success in life, success was based on attitude. In fact, he just wrote his book called Think Big and Act Bigger. It's like around like 4 or 5 bucks. He was Jeffrey Hazelwood was the CMO of Eastman Kodak back in the film days.
Uh-huh.
And so I said, he began to teach me that my life was not over, that my success was about my attitude, my mindset. And so I said, hey, I never want to ever say this doesn't apply to stroke survivors. And so I began to say, hey, I can do this. He began to make me realize it was my attitude. And and then so he kind of got me really excited about where I was going, that I could make a difference in this world. And it was about attitude.
Love it. What would you say? So, other than meeting him, understanding his book, setting attitude, were there other influences that helped you really turn it around from being depressed and suicidal, Aaron? Because some people listening to this episode are going to go, that's too big. That's too big of a leap. Are there smaller steps?
Well, I would have to say, probably, man, you're really good at this, Genevieve. I would have to say, one of the another biggest influence was Jill Bolton Taylor, Stroke of
Oh,
Insight.
yeah.
And
Great.
book. Her book really opened me up to the potential, even as a stroke survivor, that life was energy based. And that my decision, that there's that old thing that says life is 90% of what no, life is 10% of what happened to you and 90% of how you respond.
Hmm.
And I went, "Oh, man, I've troubled to Taylor says I could do it. Now Jeff Hayes said I could do it. I guess I could do it." So how I am today, I've been building stroke TV media
Yeah.
now for it's been 8 years almost now. And I'm just having a blast. I mean, just a blast. Those stroke survivors are amazing people.
Absolutely. Well, you and I are in the same space, different ends of
Yeah.
it, but still with the same mission.
Yeah, I agree.
So go ahead.
Well, you asked me you know, ho what motivated me, and I'm gonna say it's attitude. I think stroke survival, and I think anything in life, really any difficult or hard time you go through in life is about mindset. It's about how you respond. It's not how we all go through the hard times. You go through yeah, right, you didn't have a stroke. And thank God your speech and language pathologist because people like you changed my life too. But it's finding your purpose and a reason to live and a reason to do what you're doing. It's really, really the key is helping people.
Mhm. So as you know, I'm in the business of telepractice. I've been doing that for 9 years, and I find it a very interesting space because there's kind of a barrier to entry to work in telepractice for someone to engage with me as a clinician in telepractice. Some folks I work with have never ever used a computer. Like the closest thing to a computer they ever touched was a flip phone.
Huh? Huh, sorry.
Some people are tech savvy and it's super easy. Some people only have like a tablet, like an iPad. So there is a bit of a barrier to entry with telepractice. But what that also shows is those who are motivated to overcome that barrier to entry. And that sets, and that's, you said attitude and mindset. You have to be willing to overcome that. Or if you're going to a brick and mortar clinic, there's the one right down the road that the doctor said to go to because it's convenient and they offer treatment. Or maybe you have to travel an hour to get to a therapist that you really connected with, that can really meet you and help you get your goals. That's a barrier to entry too. That's a physical, geographic. So one thing I love about telepractice, I can Zoom in anybody's house.
Yeah, you could really, I mean, telepractice really kind of, I think, was birthed at the pandemic. Really was. I think your niche, sorry, your
It's
niche,
all good.
right.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah, right, exactly. But speech therapy really can be extremely effective right here, right
Yes,
in Zoom or in using Restream, but it can be effective, and it was available back when I had my stroke. So
that's right.
I'm really anything a stroke TV media can do to help it get out there. I'm just all for it. I think it's something that people need to learn to take advantage of. I mean, that's something I didn't have available. If I could, when I first had my stroke, I'd be speaking even better things to this day if I had available telepractice.
If you could get the best clinician a specialist in your area, whatever your deficit is, because not everybody works with ataxic dysarthria, for example. To
Yeah.
be able to get that right clinician, you know, I think it's powerful. I'm a huge proponent of telepractice, and I also love it because I have the power of the internet at my fingertips, and it allows me to really customize what we work on, how we work on it based on what you want, what you want to accomplish, what your goals are, and what your interests are. If you're into car shows and you love following the auctions, or you're into cooking, or you're into nature, following the eagles on the spy cam in Montana, it
Yeah.
I can tap into all that, and I can still make a speech language cognitive task out of it.
Yeah, yes, that's so true. I mean, really, the connection is number one. I think it's so impressive. You have the ability, as you as a clinician, to take your business global. The only harder part I can see, like you getting out there, is number one is getting out there. How do you advertise it? How do you market it?
Amen.
And I think once and I say we purposely, because I want to be involved in helping you, because your former colleague, Bill Connors, was a friend of mine. He worked with Bill. And I
Yeah.
respected Bill for what he did. And he brought value. And it took one to get the wheel going, but he started getting more and more people coming to a show. Now you are doing a show on Church TV Media. What is the name of the show again? I just forgot.
Life Speech Pathology channel.
I can't wait. I'll be waiting for it. It's
Me neither, Aaron. Wait, maybe I need a few more nights of sleep before we get started. But
yeah,
yeah, I can't
yeah,
wait either.
yeah.
This is, since starting the practice, like you said, it's not lack of enthusiasm on my part. It's getting out there and supporting people wherever they are in the rehab process. I offer consultation calls, even if your person is still in the hospital. If you wanna talk to somebody who knows rehab, call me. I'll give you the what for, I'll give you the 10 for, what you need to know. But my space is when folks get out of the hospital, when they're done with home care and they're ready for outpatient. That is my space because I'm in a private practice. What's that look, Aaron?
Well,
I
no,
s
I was trying to see make sure I was on the
I'm like, "Wait, did I lose
and
you?"
you can hear me okay,
Yeah,
correct?
I gotcha.
Well, now I'm curious, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
How did you ever get into telepath? How did you ever say, "I'm gonna become a speech language pathologist"? How did you do it?
Okay, so 2 different stories. So the first one, trying to give you the cliff notes.
Okay.
My mom is a nurse, case manager. And for a while in college, I thought I was gonna be an accountant.
Mhm.
I find it funny now.
Yeah.
My mom introduced me to a speech pathologist at her hospital, and his specialty was helping people who had their voice box removed for cancer.
Wow.
So they were a laryngectomy, technically.
Wow.
And Clark Gilmore, he has since passed on, was a master clinician at helping people talk again. I worked with him over a summer, between my sophomore and junior year of college. I was in California, Cal State Fullerton, and I worked with Clark, and I loved this population. These are folks that, yes, they couldn't talk immediately because of the surgery, but they had a new lease on life. They were happy to be alive. They had stories to tell, and nothing was gonna stand in their way for telling those stories.
Wow.
That's how I got into speech. I went back, over the summer, I found out that communication disorders was offered at my university. I changed my major, I went home, and I told my parents I didn't ask permission because I knew it. I knew what I was going to do.
Wow.
And I said, "Mom and Dad, I'm getting a master's." And they're like, "What?" And they're like, "You sure?" And I'm like, "Yep, this is it. I'm done." And that set the path. How I got into telepractice, I've been doing it for 9 years. I met Bill Connors. Bill was my mentor. I attended one of his conferences, I wanna say it was 2010, and his conference was on neuroplastic aphasia treatment. And I attended that conference because I needed more tools in my toolbox. There were so many folks. I had what I was trained in school. I worked in acute rehab. I'd been working 6 years by the time I took Bill's course. No, more than 6 years. No, 2010. I'd been working for 16 years by the time I took Bill's course. And his course was revolutionary. He had a different perspective, a different way. He had his clients Zoom in. Well, we didn't have Zoom didn't exist then, Aaron. He was on this other platform. It was just like we're talking, like 2 talking heads. That's all there was in a chat box. But he had these clients, I'll just keep saying, Zoom in to the conference, and he's talking to them live, and he's showing what you can do about it. He was one of the first pioneers of telepractice. 2005, he started doing it.
Wow.
He had, anyway, so the long and the short is I built a Bill became my mentor after that course because he generously offered his time. Oh, if you have any trouble clients, if you need tips or techniques or you want to talk about it, he's like, we'll get on the computer and I'll help you. So I took him up on that and we built a relationship. And then I moved cross country, California to Boston, and Bill hired me at Aphasia Toolbox and I took over his California clients and the rest is history. I worked for Bill for 6 years before his passing, and then, I picked up the torch, picked up the baton, and here we are today.
Oh, great. All right.
So it's a long story that's not too much
Well,
cliff
I
notes, but
really
there's other stuff.
need to back up a little bit because I'm used to being host of a show. So now I'll give the mic back to you. I'll be answer your question, but I was just curious,
No, I love that.
my own thing, because I think what he offered is still on the cutting edge, and I think it's still playing the opportunity. But I'm glad you're doing it. I'm glad you picked up the torch.
Yeah. No, Bill was an amazing clinician, so much respect for him and what he did for this community, and I'm looking to keep that going and blow it up. I want the village. I think of it not just community, I think of it as a village because it's not just one person, it's not just two people.
Right,
You say
right.
it
I
takes a
agree.
village to raise a kid, it takes a village to live a good life, and you can, even if you've had a stroke.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. And he said that's great.
So, Aaron, what else would you like to share with us about your mission, how you serve? We know about Stroke TV Media, we know about Stroke of Genius show. Anything else you would like to
It-
share?
Well, I do want to thank you for that question. Uh, I've been serving the stroke community now for almost 8 years, and there is something like out there. What's lacking is making people realize, stroke survivors realize, that they are valuable as a stroke
That's right.
survivor alive. Just for them, open their eyes. Just for them being alive. And it's possible, like you said earlier, to have life after stroke. It is possible. And you just told me a story about people, how you speak, learn to speak with after I learned after surgery on cancer, getting your
Yeah,
voice blocked. That is, makes my attacks at attacks at dyslexia sound pretty easy compared to that. But I'm just saying that anybody out there listening, that's stroke survivor. Number one, you need somebody, Genevieve, that really can really identify. Can I be honest with you? Beside Bill Connor, your your former mentor, and you were the only ones that could identify I have a tacit dysarthria. Everybody else will only say I've dysarthria. These are SLPs.
yeah,
But Bill Connor was the first one that ever identified. He said, "Aaron, you have a tactic dyslexia, and I'll be a son of God. That's true. That's what I have."
yeah.
So, like I said, anything we can do for you, I'm all for it. I'm all in. I'm all in. I
Me
think it'll
too.
be yeah.
Me too. We're on this same mission, Aaron. So I would love to wrap up this interview with you. Hope. I'm in the business of hope.
It doesn't get any better now. I mean, it give people hope, especially people like me. Hope is what drove me to here, where I'm at right now. So kudos to you for giving hope to people like me because it's extremely powerful. Thank you. It's awesome.
Oh, Aaron is what keeps me up at night. Well, now I'm starting to sleep. First
That's
year of doing the practice,
mm,
that's a
mm.
that's a lot of figuring out. But yeah, hope. I think also what you said, it's your attitude, knowing it can get better. And you got to get somebody in your corner, right? You have to have somebody else that believes you can do better because there's a lot of naysayers. Wouldn't you say that's accurate?
That's extremely accurate. In fact, here, nobody know about a stroke, no plasticity now.
Yeah.
The brain is plastic. It will I speak now where I can talk to you. Before, when I first started, I could not speak. You could not understand a word I said. I train wrecked, smashed on my word. Bill gave me strategies to actually be able to communicate with someone like you. And it's amazing that if you use strategies that you will give people, I think you give them hope.
Yeah.
And that's really what we need up there. Is hope.
Yep. And don't settle. I think that's another take home message. You don't have to settle. I rebel against the concept of a plateau, Aaron.
Yeah, good for
I
you.
don't believe in it.
Yeah, doesn't exist. I mean, that only exists in the insurance company. They're the only one that will tell you that you plateaued. But unfortunately, they cut me off insurance within I'd say 3 years of my stroke. And
Mhm.
I get it. If I knew if I still had therapy today, oh man, I would excel because back then they said plateaued. I believed I was it.
Right.
But now I know what neuroplasticity is, and
Mhm.
everybody can heal, and the brain will heal. Always, it never stops.
But you have to work at it.
You have to work on it. Everybody has to work. Hardest thing is I'm glad you brought that up, Genevieve. Never wrap it. You want to wrap it up, but you have to work at it. Some of these church providers I know just sit back because they've been told they're going to recover. You're not going to recover. You're going to have to rebuild your life after stroke. I was never a big advocate of the word recovery. I say I'm rebuilding my life after stroke.
Wow. I hadn't heard it stated that way. I would love to get feedback from other stroke survivors if that message resonates with them,
Yeah.
because I also think words are powerful. It's how you frame it.
All right.
If you're rebuilding, that sounds it's active, you're doing.
That's right.
So much good stuff. Aaron, we're going to have many, many more wonderful conversations, and I look forward to being a channel on stroke TV media. I'm super excited.
Yeah. Really cool thing. I might tell people out there, you also, and Genevieve begins to do a show on my network. I will automatically get her in two or one for sure. On if you're on smart TV, you go to Wonderful Living Television, watch Genevieve on a streaming service called Wonderful Living Television. And it's gonna be exciting where we're going. So
I love what you've built for this community, Aaron, and I look forward to seeing how you continue to support the stroke community and yourself.
well,
This
thank
is
you
there,
very
like
much.
you said yesterday when we talked, this is therapy for you as well.
Yeah,
So win-win. Win-win, and it's a win for me to know you and to work with you. So thank you for your time.
you're welcome, Jennifer. My pleasure.